Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everyone else listening, this is the final episode of the Baekfast Club. If you don't know, it is a VGC oriented podcast slash talk show hosted by yours truly, here to discuss the updates to competitive Pokemon VGC in general. And yeah, it's the last episode, which is kind of crazy to think about. But yeah, I started this podcast slash talk show back in the beginning of Regulation I, and what better way to conclude it than with the World Championship episode and the plans going forward for 2026. If you do enjoy the Breakfast Club, this is your last chance to leave a like down below, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about the series. Maybe it will come back, maybe it won't. Who knows? But it will really be up to this final episode with the feedback as well. So if it does get a large reception, well, maybe I will change my mind. So make sure you leave a comment, leave a like down below, because this may be the final episode altogether. So before we get into this episode, because of course this is going to be a grand one, right? We have the Pokemon World Championship, and let me just say, this was a big event. It is the biggest event of the year. It's literally what everyone strives to win, the final event of the season, the Pokemon World Championship, where only one player can win. Or I guess depending on your age division, sure, there could be multiple, and I guess whatever games there are, but you get my point. Like, there's only one that can take home the grand title of VGC Masters World Champion. So we're going to be talking, of course, the metagame in general for the World Championship. We'll also be talking about some of the updates. And I think we're going to start off with the smaller stories before we get into the huge deep dive metagame portion of the 2025 World Championship, because there's a lot to talk about for this World Championship. So let's get started with the new project that they're starting, which I still don't truly understand it, but sure. If you don't know, the first time in VGC history, they ended up choosing to host the World Championship Finals in an arena. And granted, it was a pretty interesting experiment. I think the people who were able to get in had a great time. The people who weren't able to get in, let's just say they probably did not have a great time. If you're wondering where I was on that spectrum, I didn't even try to bother, because I knew it was probably not going to work. And you know what? I was actually correct on that. So, but apparently the plans for the 2026 World Championship, of course, we already knew the location ahead of time because it was leaked way before, and then Pokemon officially confirmed that months ago, which was that the 2026 World Championship is going to be held in San Francisco. And if you don't know, San Francisco is probably my least favorite location for a World Championship in general. I just got to get that out of the way. It is the worst VGC location, or VGC World's location, I have ever been to. It is one of my least favorites. Maybe I'm just not a big fan of California itself, which is fair, but San Francisco is just a depressing city to me. Like, it definitely, like, walking around, otherwise it was definitely not the most remarkable city. And probably, like, I'm from New York. I'm just going to point that out. And I feel like San Francisco was way more depressing. I'm just going to leave it at that, because I don't want to get this too sad, like, to start off. But I'm just going to say it's not like a fun city to walk around, at least in like the downtown, the Chinatown. And I've heard it definitely has gotten worse since the lockdown. Of course, there are probably some good areas in San Francisco. My cousin actually used to live in San Francisco. Told me they liked it. But yeah, like, from my experience, my opinion is that I'm not a big fan of California in general. Like, I think that's all I have to really say. But we have the World Championship. We have the dates, which is actually pretty interesting. So it's actually going to be the last weekend of August. And usually every World Championship is usually held in the middle. I don't think I can even remember the last time they held a World Championship like this late into August. Like, it's always usually the month of August for the World Championship, but it's never usually the last one. So it'll be interesting to see, especially because that means more time to prep, of course, for the competitors. But yeah, we have this project that they announced, which is that the Worlds Weekend, as well as this new project called Pokemon XP. And let me just say, I don't really understand the concept too well. And registration opens soon. It's like less than 30 days from the time I'm recording this, and by the time it's uploaded, it's probably going to be like around 20 days realistically. But at the same time, yeah, it's just I'm guessing XP is supposed to be for experience in general. They probably punted here, and yeah, so it's just going to be interesting because it's supposed to be, I guess, a separate event from the World Championship. And I think it's like, okay, they're going to move all the activities that like at the World Championship probably just to this event instead. Maybe just so the convention center that they picked, doesn't have to deal with like all of the stress of having both like the competitors alongside all the spectators, right? So I think that could actually be like a really good idea because the World Championships previously, like obviously Japan, I talk about this a lot, but Japan was one of the worst run World Championships ever in the history of the game. Like, and funny enough, the second worst World Championship I've been to is the 2016 one, which was San Francisco, because the logistics. I remember having to wait in a super long line that just that went out the door of like a hotel, like to get into the opening ceremony. Like it was a disaster. I remember because they had more invites than was anticipated back then. So curious to see how it'll work now. I'm hoping it's going to be better. But yeah, so we have, I'm guessing, the separate experience event where they probably have like more of like the community, like the general Pokemon community, maybe some Go related stuff, maybe some trading card game, like meetups and content related stuff, probably just going to be held here instead of like the venue at the World Championship, which I do like, because I think the venue itself, like at the end of the day, this is the Pokemon World Championship, right? It's mainly an event that is supposed to be on the spirit of the competitive game aspect more than like the experience, I think, of like like a concert or something, right? It is meant to highlight the battlers, I think, the people who worked really hard to qualify for the World Championship, the people who travel, who spend a year like honing their skills. So I kind of like the idea of like separating the side events in general compared to the main event. I think it just makes it so much easier. And some might say that that is a bad take, that the World Championship should be like everyone gets in, but like it's been kind of a mess if you've been to the previous World Championships, especially with like the Pokemon Center stuff. I'm kind of hoping the Pokemon Center is kind of actually like connected to the XP event more than it is to the actual like the actual tournament venue, because I think that would make life so much easier. Like I think it would. I don't know if that will be the case, but yeah, like all we know is we're speculating at this point. There's not really too much. Like they say there's like some panels, workshops, so basically community stuff will be at this event more than the actual World Championship, which I think is like really cool, because more room for like competitors and focusing on like I think the competitive games being the highlight of the World Championship, while this XP event, you can meet up with like people in the community and do the things there. I'm not saying Worlds what isn't a place that doesn't happen, but I think it just makes it so much easier for the life of competitors who do want to focus on the tournament more, especially because yeah, it's as I said before, I've competed in multiple World Championships, and the experience as a competitor, I think, has kind of just downgraded over time. And I was actually talking about this with several players at the event, like even players who just qualified recently and haven't qualified for years. Like I definitely have talked to them, and yeah, they definitely have felt that vibe as well. It's definitely been better than Japan. Let me just say, if Japan was definitely the lowest bar you could have, but I could talk probably more about that in a different time. But yeah, there's going to be activities, the Pokemon Center pop-up. I'm hoping that Pokemon Center pop-up is just going to be the world's Pokemon Center realistically, and not like just two Pokemon Centers in general. We'll see how that goes. Registration starts September 17th, which is kind of weird actually, because you're buying tickets for an event like a year in advance, which is kind of surprising. I don't know, again, if this is technically, I think this is separate from the World Championship, but I know competitors for the World Championship, their guests get these like the exact tickets you're buying here. So I don't really get it. Like you have these multi passes which you can get, and you can get to the Pokemon XP experience, and it also includes the final day. If you don't know, since we had the arena in Anaheim this time, they're actually moving it to a big like sports center this time, with the Chase Center in San Francisco for the finals. And yeah, you apparently, if you purchase something from this event, you can go to this event. And I don't know, it's just really weird, I think, because I still can't tell if this is World Championship related or not. Because I know I know competitors also get this pass as well, if I'm not mistaken. And I believe the content creators also get this pass. I don't know if like a World Championship pass exists for the World Championship part. Like, it just confuses me. I'm assuming that this is a separate thing for the side stuff, and then you can get into Championship Sunday on the arena, and maybe that's like how it goes. But again, it's like I've read it, like I've read this website, and I'm still like a little bit lost on like what it exactly is. But that's like what I'm getting out of the vibe. So it's gonna be pretty expensive. 180 for like a multi-day pass plus arena experience. I mean, I guess like $30 more than like the 150 for just the multi-day pass is probably still pretty good. If you become a content creator or a media person, you get a refund. I don't know about competitors though, because I remember seeing like a pic on Twitter about like how there was a competitors part here, and there was like, okay, you get two of these passes for your guests, and I don't know if you actually get refunded if you're a competitor. I'd assume so, because that would be kind of weird if you didn't get a refund for here. But yeah, it's just like, okay, maybe they separate some stuff from the World Championship between, again, the actual competitive parts and the community parts, which I think is like pretty solid. I don't know how close they'll be. We don't know like where this is exactly headed. Maybe it'll be outside the center or outside the venue again. Maybe it'll be close by. Maybe it'll be like blocks away. Maybe it'll be like several miles away, but who knows? That's all I really have to say about this. I think it's pretty interesting. Again, having the Championship Sunday in a stadium is not something you would really expect compared to like the previous. Like, again, I didn't get to see the arena. I only watched through, like, I was at the venue with like a bunch of friends and watching it instead of the arena, because like the arena was not easy to get into. I'm just gonna say that if Wolf Glick and Justin Tang couldn't get into that venue, there was no shot I was going to try. But yeah, I think in general, like, it's interesting because obviously, like, World Championships, we've had the stage before, but it's definitely been super propped up in the last couple of years. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. And yeah, that's basically what this is. And yeah, I just wanted to highlight this. Let me know if you're even going to buy into this. I still, again, if this is separate from the World Championship, I have no clue. I might actually apply. I mean, I might buy the multi-day thing, and I might actually get the I might apply for the content creator one, mainly because I don't know if I'll be able to qualify for next year's Worlds. Mainly because currently my plans are, for those of you wondering, I don't plan on attending any events towards this year or the rest of this year, and I don't know if I'll be able to qualify with just the few events I'd go to next year, because you never know, the format is going to be different. It's probably going to be like mechanics and generation are going to be different. Technically it's still going to be technically Gen 9, but like, of course, you're going to have like all the new stuff added, so like it's going to be a completely different game for the most part. So who knows, like, I'd say I'm probably not the fastest to adapt to a new gen or a new game immediately. So yeah, I usually take a lot of time. So who knows? I might not even qualify for this World Championship, which would be a shame because I would like to play in the Chase Center. That would be sick, but you know, whatever happens, happens. So that is that. And then the other announcements we have coming up is, I guess we should just talk about Champions. I mean, they show like a bit of a preview trailer at the end of the closing ceremony for the World Championship. I don't think it was anything too crazy. We did get something confirmed, which is going to be the new item, which is going to be very relevant for the Pokemon Champions game, which is going to be the Omni Ring, which means all the previous gimmicks of the past generations are going to be into one item, and it sounds like we're getting all of them. We don't know, they could separate it into different formats. Like, there's a lot you can do, and I think it's going to be really interesting. They also confirmed that Champions is going to be the game we're going to be playing at the World Championship for VGC in 2026, which is going to be cool. So of course, there's a lot we could talk about Champions wise, and I think I did get asked on this when I was streaming. If you don't know, I do live stream here on YouTube as well as Twitch. And I did get asked would I want to see champions be the permanent move for VGC. And I think my answer is I had actually preferred if we swapped from champions to like the new generation games every year. So for instance, what I would like is we play champions towards like after we finish pretty much all the main formats of VGC in general of like the generation. For instance, this year I think it would have probably been the start of this year. I would have liked to see champions, right? And we play for 1 or 2 years until Gen 10 comes out in that game, and then we would play champions with like, you know, the new gimmicks or with the old gimmicks on with the new Pokemon, for instance, and then we switch back to Gen 10 for the start, like the first year or two, or maybe even 3, and then move to champions towards the later half. And I think that would be like a really cool experience. Unfortunately, I don't think that's ever going to happen because obviously champions is a game you can play on your phone. And I believe it was mentioned, I can't remember exactly where it's mentioned, but I do think that they said you can compete on your phone with champions. I think it's on the website if I'm not mistaken. So you obviously can't play a Switch and have a phone with your unless they're gonna release Gen 10 and you can have it on your phone. That'd be crazy. But yeah, like that would be the ideal take, because I kind of like that idea of being able to play the actual main game as well, and I think it just makes it more interesting that way instead of just having champions, because you know, like they can update the game over time for sure, but it's like it's still going to be kind of the same generally unless they make a generation change. But even then, like I think it can get very stale probably. Like that's basically my prediction. I could be completely wrong, but that's how I would see it probably, where it could definitely get stale. We're looking at the same graphics. It's just like a normal Pokemon game at this point, since it's kind of just Battle Stadium ported to a different game. Like by the way we've seen it from the trailer so far, it's not like Battle Revolution or anything like that, where I think it would be kind of hype if it was Battle Revolution realistically, more than like just a Stadium Ladder. But yeah, that is my take. I think that's what I would see. We'll see how like all the new mechanics, we'll see if they're allowed. They probably will be, at least megas will be sure, because like they've been seeming to hype this like mega evolution part for the next year in general for like all the games. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see like how the new mechanics will be. I'm not a fan of Dynamax coming back, but I do love me some mega evolutions, and I don't mind Z crystals, so that should be fun. Then I think we'll go into the last story, I think, before the World Championship, which is 2026. Obviously, we've talked about in the previous episode how the regionals locations, like some of them have already been announced for the most part. I think there's maybe been like 1 or 2 more regionals that have been confirmed at this point. I think Toronto was confirmed in January, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we finally have an update to the 2026 circuit, which is we are going to be going with the grand challenges once again. And we already have our first one, which is kind of insane because it's Regulation H. And I've mentioned this problem before, where the Stadium Ladder is going to be changing for the upcoming format. And it is going to be in Regulation J, a completely different format. So you have no way to practice in-game without some outside tools or websites, because guess what? You have to practice on Showdown. You have to practice Limitless tours or all that. So yeah, no way to actually practice this in game. But we're going to Regulation H, and it will be the way to get championship points for the Grand Challenge. Grand Challenge is for the non-TPC regions, so all the TPCI regions like NA, EU, and Australia, and I think and LATAM, of course. And then TPC is like the APAC region, the Japan, Korea, like they won't be playing in this Grand Challenge. So yeah, and it's kind of crazy because this, I didn't mention the date here, but the date is actually the first weekend of September, so it's only like 2 weeks away that we're starting with the Grand Challenge, which is kind of insane when you think about it. But yeah, we already have our first Grand Challenge. They never really truly give us a rest. But that is the update I wanted to give. Grand Challenge, good luck to all of you who have never played a Grand Challenge before, or a Global Challenge. I think Japan is usually the one that cooks the best teams in best of one, because Grand Challenges I feel like are a bit more boring in general than Global Challenges, because the East knows how to cook some best of one teams. The West, they kind of stick with more boring teams, but we see some techs here and there, of course, that are oriented towards best of one. But yeah, that is the grand challenge. Then of course we got the regionals coming up in September. They're all going to be in Reg H. Like we have one in Latam, we have one in the US, which is going to be Pittsburgh, and I think there's one in EU, but I can't remember which one it is. So yeah, like all the Reg H tournaments are about to begin, and yeah, we still have no idea when we're switching champions because we don't have a release date for champions yet. We're going to be playing Reg H at least until the end of LIC, and I believe it was confirmed that champions is coming out 2026. So we have no idea what we're doing for December. December could be like a break month, which is interesting. I don't think there's a single regional announced for December yet, which I'm kind of interested in. Maybe there'll be a TCG only. We've had the break before, but just speculation on my part here. But I think we've talked about everything. We gotta get to the main juicy parts of this thing. It is the 2025 Pokemon World Championship, and we have a lot to talk about it here. So if you don't know, this is the biggest event of the year. This is why everyone has been playing the World Championship. It's definitely a smaller World Championship, but probably a more stacked one just because of the fact that you did have to qualify through the system, and the qualification system was a lot harder than the championship bar we've had in previous years. Like for instance, in North America, you could only qualify if you were top 75 in championship points, or you got like one of the auto invites, such as winning a regional or getting top 4 at an internet. Same with like EU, Australia. I don't remember. I think they have 8 again. They might have had 8 again. I just always forget. Maybe it was 4. And then yeah, like obviously Japan, I think they had like 50 something. I think it's like top 50 from that ladder tournament to qualify for Japan Nats. Like anyone who qualified for Japan Nats was able to qualify for the World Championship. Yeah, so in total, we had 371 players in Masters. It's smaller than the previous years, but definitely more stacked because, of course, you're going to have more of the people who are more dedicated to the game and the ones who like are able to place higher, obviously be able to compete in this tournament. And yeah, there is quite a bit. Obviously, it was also the first event that the Switch 2 was also allowed at this event. And I guess I can talk about that as well because they had a completely different setup from like how we used to have for the Switch. Normally, they had like this huge dock and stand. And now they just have like these cheap foldable Chinese stands, I guess. They're like really tiny. Like the regular stands were actually like pretty decently big for the Switch, and then you plug in like this green like USB dock into your Switch with a USB-C wire. It's not even like a snap like a normal Switch dock. It's like you just plug it into the thing, and yeah, you're able to plug in your controller, your USB port, and then it has the internet. And yeah, so it's actually funny because the setup's definitely probably more scuffed, but it worked. Like I was actually a pretty big fan of like just the setup. I mean, some stands were like worse than others, right? Like the Switch 2 is a decently bulky item. So some stands, if they weren't made well, they kind of sank. So when you tried to hold it up, it just sank. So it wasn't like the greatest, but for the most part, like I didn't have a problem with it. I thought it was really good for the most part. Were there DCs? Yeah, there were a few. In fact, my table actually in round 2 had like a DC problem where it was like 3 matches in general were like DC, and luckily because of internet issues, luckily for me and my opponent DC'd in team preview of game 2. Others, they actually DC'd in the middle of a game. So very fortunate there because the match I was playing in round 2 was also against like one of the more of the stallish teams. So yeah, that would not have been pleasant if I DC'd there, but we moved to a different table and the setup ended up working. And yeah, like overall, I was actually pretty happy with like how the Switch 2 and playing a Switch 2 for these tournaments definitely made it more enjoyable. Like I hate the fact when I was like watching the Switch, like waiting for the like how the animations went. Like I enjoy watching the animations when thinking about my moves, and when it's sluggish, I feel like my brain's also moving sluggish. So but the Switch 2 was awesome to play, and yeah, I actually am looking forward to playing more events in general on Switch 2 instead. I think even when Champions comes out, I'll probably be more of a Switch 2 fan than like a phone, mainly because I like having buttons and having like, actual controllers that can affect it. I feel like on a phone, like tapping like could definitely lead to some misclicks or mistakes. But yeah, so Switch 2, fantastic. Let's actually get into the analyzing the actual competitors team. And we have Giovanni taking first place. Now, I said in the previous podcast, which was going to be interesting, that I thought North America was going to flop. I really did. I really thought North America was going to flop this World Championship, but I did see 3 players who were able to probably make top cut. And the 3 players that I had on my radar going to have the ability to top cut, like with a pretty high chance, like obviously any North American could have top cut, but like I thought the ones with the greatest chance who had the potential for a deep run were Wolf, Carson Confer, and then Geo, whose username is Polar Bear, because I think Polar Bear is a really strong player. I have played him twice at events now, and I played him really early in 2020, and he was really good back then. I played him at the finals of a huge Dallas midseason showdown, which was like the post-regional one for those who didn't qualify for day 2 of the Dallas Regional Championship, because that was like one of the largest Pokemon events at the time. It was like over 1,000 players for the first event of Sword and Shield, and I played Polar Bear for the win for the MSS there, and he played really solid. And then I played him at 2022 US Internets, and he was one of my losses in day 1. He was running Yveltal Groudon Slowbro, and I was running Calyx Shadow Rider Zacian Standard, and that matchup's really not good for me, but I felt like he just never gave me an opening, so he played that extremely well too. And I'm not surprised that he has done well, and he has really had a breakout year. Like, he's top cut every single Regulation I tournament with this team. He top cut a few Reg G events into top cutting or top 8ing, I think, Milwaukee. I think he had one more regional he might have done well in. I don't remember. He top cut NIC. He was actually the one who eliminated Wolf in day 1 for the elimination round. And then, yeah, obviously a Worlds win, which, gotta say, winning your first event, winning a World Championship, now that's aura. That is aura. If there's any one tournament you wish you could get that big win on, it's definitely going to be the World stage for sure. And he ran pretty much the same team throughout. He might have made some EV spread changes here and there, but he's been running the same consistent team throughout. It's his Sun team, and I always get reminded, because I think it's funny, because Michael Kelsch, one of the strongest players, did say that like he thinks this team is bad. But I think this combo was good. I mentioned this before on the Baekfast Club previously. It was the NIC and Japan preview episode where I thought Koraidon plus one of the ghost types, Lunala or Shadow Rider, had the potential of winning the event, and that was my take. Unfortunately, it seems I do have right instincts, because apparently, like, obviously if you look at the finals, it's Koraidon. Like, Koraidon dominated this tournament in general. We're gonna get more into it, but the ghost types plus Koraidon absolutely cooked for this tournament. So maybe I was just a bit off on the timing for the meta, but I knew like how strong it was. So this is the team that Geo has been destroying with basically the entire format. Focus Sash Flutter Mane, Life Orb Jolly Koraidon, the Choice Scarf Chiyu, a Flame Orb Standard Ursaluna, the Citrus Berry Brew Bonnet, and then the Power Herb Trick Room Lunala. Like, this is pretty much the bread and butter. Everyone knows about this team. It is nothing too shocking, but Geo just pilots it like someone else. Like, this team, he really truly understands. He has mastered this team throughout like his start in Regulation G with this team and into the Regulation I format, and he has truly mastered it and was able to win. Are there anything super crazy? I think like most of the techs like obviously are just strong in general. You have to have very powerful sun mode with the Chiyu, Beats of Ruin, Heat Wave, and the Sun. Absolutely devastating, especially that overheat will definitely get a knockout. The Focus Sash, Flutter Mane, of course, that, you know, with Speed Booster is able to pair well with the Koraidon, with the Chiyu, and more. Do a ton of damage running that Stellar Terra for a very strong Moonblast or Shadow Ball option if necessary. You have the Life of Koraidon, which, because Calyx Shadow Rise, there were a few modest ones. I was actually asking Gio at dinner about, like, okay, which one, how many modest Shadow Rise he faced. He faced a few, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I don't remember if he said that the Jolly Super came into play, but it did benefit him because a lot of the Shadow Rise were slower than Jolly, Koraidon, and Timid Miraidons, which 2 of them were in the top 8. So yeah, the fact that it just ended up helping favor, I think, the Koraidon, because it would have made some pairings a lot easier, for instance, if he did fight the modest one. Because if you do know, you could just fire off a Terrifier Flare Blitz and you don't have to even Flame Charge immediately, which is actually like crazy to think about. And then, of course, the Ursaluna, super strong with the Lunala, great pairing, Meteor Beam Power Herb, just able to do a ton of damage. And then Brute Bonnet, which was a pretty big Pokemon at this World Championship. Like, Koraidon Brute Bonnet was really good here. That Photosynthesis gave me the defense booster. We've talked about Brute Bonnet on the Baekfast Club before. Even in Regulation G, it was like a very popular pick in the late parts, mainly because that defense boost, pretty insane. The Spore and Rage Powder, the Dark typing, you're able to live Body Press thanks to the defense boost. So you take like an Astral Barrage plus a Body Press combo, and then you can draw off a Spore. Like, it is pretty effective there. Having another switch into Astral Barrage that makes it difficult for the Calyx Shadow Riders. Like, it is a pretty strong mon. So this team pretty much just has like a few different modes, right? You have that very offensive Sun mode with the Chiyu, Flutter, and Koraidon that does a ton of damage. The Brute Bonnet can support, of course, with the redirection. You can run one restricted there. Then you have like this Lunala that can definitely pair well with the Chi, with the Beads of Ruin, as well as the Flutter Mane. You have the Chukamo with the Lunala, the Ursaluna, and the Brute Bonnet. There's just like quite a few different modes that you can do, and they're all overwhelming under cases, right? Because like a Trick Room with +1 Lunala and Ursaluna on deck is absolutely powerful if your opponent isn't able to stop them. And then this Sun mode, like if you position wrong against this, it could just be game over instantly, especially with like really strong spread moves from the Chiyu, really strong offense and speed control from the Flutter, and that Koraidon that is just taking a knockout every single time. So yeah, that is Gio's team. No surprise, he was able to pilot a really good team, and yeah, it's able to do well. And then second, we have James Evans, which, it's funny because like I'm in a group chat with James Evans. He's like, I didn't practice for Worlds. I'm playing DK Bonanza, and he's like talking about like building a team the night before, and he actually did build a team the night before. And I remember Mammal Swine was in the team builder at one point in the messages. So yeah, but he kind of had like one of those dream runs. I think if I were to compare it to anything, 22 Worlds was pretty similar. I didn't really have much prep either, and he was just able to play extremely well. But granted, it's not like he has total inexperience with like the build, because he's using a restricted duo he's used before, right? He's actually gotten like several day 2s, for instance, with the Calyx Shadow Koraidon duo. He was running Weezing before. He got top 16 at Milwaukee, if I'm not mistaken, into day 2 at NIC. I think he was 1 win away from making it into the top cut, and he was still running that Weezing team. And then he finally drops Weezing, which I am happy for him, because man, I just think the Weezing stuff was just, it's run its course. It was like not good by the World's meta point, because like everyone knew how to play it. But yeah, he brought the Encore Shadow Rider with Focus Sash that he's pretty comfortable with. The Terragos Astral Barrage, of course, is super strong if you position wrong against it. Clear Aim and the Koraidon. It's great having like an actual item that prevents Intimidate, and of course, like you don't have to run Ability Shield, which is beautiful. It's able to do quite a bit of damage with the Flame Charge. The Assault Vest Raging Bolt, super tanky. It has the Volt Switch, so you can actually reposition, which I actually really like, because even though he doesn't have like Electro Web speed control, for instance, it's still a Raging Bolt that can hit pretty hard. That Volt Switch, repositioning stuff next to Shadow Rider, Koraidon with the support Pokemon of Brute Bonnet and Incineroar can be really powerful. And I did play against James Evans in the Swiss round, and he was able to actually use the Volt Switch in like a position like Clear Aim and Koraidon on what I tried to attempt as a parting shot, and he was able to really utilize like the pivoting super well here. He has the same Brute Bonnet, but with Covert Cloak, able to basically play more aggressive against the Fake Out Mons in general, preventing that flinch and threatening that spore, which is crucial. He has Life Orb Landers, which is an interesting take on like the Sun teams. We don't really see Landers too often with the Sun mode, but he did really enjoy the Landers. If I'm not mistaken, this Landers was super bulky. He was able to live like a Choice Scarf Draco Meteor from the Miraidons, which is pretty important in the terrain. So yeah, it is able to do quite a bit of damage with that Earth Power Sandseer, tank a lot of attacks across the board. And then he has the support Incineroar, where if he's able to Flame Charge with Koraidon, or if he has that Shadow Rider Helping Hand boost, and be pretty strong, especially when you have a Pokemon like Landers with Sandseer, when you have priority with Sucker Punch and Thunderclap. Helping Hand Incineroar, definitely a mon that is pretty good with Koraidon Shadow Rider. I have tested it before, and yeah, it's really good. So yeah, he didn't have like an experience with the final 6, but overall, like, he's had experience with the restricted duo. Like, the tools he has is not like Pokemon he hasn't used before, right? The Landorus Incarnate he did really well with in the past. The Raging Bolt is a Pokemon he's definitely used. Incineroar is not like his most common mon, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's used it like 3 times in total, but like, you know, Incineroar's like, I think we all know how good of a mon Incineroar is at this point. And then Bonnet he's used before on the Calyx Shower Koraidon. So he was playing well. Like, I did play him, and like, I know that he was playing well because he was making some really good plays in general. And yeah, he was able to make a dream run getting into the finals of the World Championship. And sometimes you just have those days where you play extremely well, especially if you have it, like, again, a concept that you already pretty much have played with several times already. Like, you can just learn on the fly very, very quickly. So that was the finals. We had Koraidon Calyx Shadow Rider and Koraidon Lunala able to make the finals. In top 4, we have Hirofumi, one of the best players and one of the best team builders from Japan. I have a lot of respect for Hirofumi. This team is definitely an interesting one. So we have Calyrex Ice Rider plus Koraidon. This is a duo that ended up, we've talked about before, where it popped off at, I think the big showcasing of this duo was the big grassroots in-person tournament in Japan a month ago, where Koraidon Calyx Ice Rider did win, but it wasn't really with the support Pokemon like Incineroar Rillaboom. It was with more like Sun stuff. It was like Raging Bolt, it was Chi-Yu, it was Fluttermane, and then there was, I guess Incineroar was on that 6, and then there's been some builds with that, and then they have Smeargle on it in some cases. But this is kind of an interesting take because it's like the supportive tool set. Like, you have good support mons with Incineroar Rillaboom, Calyrex Ice Rider, and Koraidon, which I think are pretty strong. And then you have the Smeargle option, which of course, Smeargle is never fun to play against. So having that redirection, having the Spore Pressure, Ruination, which is an interesting move on Smeargle. Like, the Smeargle set's definitely interesting because we don't see Smeargle with Spiky Shield too often. We usually see like Fake Out, Follow Me, and then it's usually like Decorate, Wide Guard, Spore. Like, those are the common moves. We see Follow Me and Spore. Spiky Shield's less common. It's been used on some cases, but a lot of Smeargles drop it for a more utility move. And then Ruination, just being able to chip away if they, like, if Smeargle's taunted or like their position where you can get Ruination to chip them into Koraidon or Cali Ice range, can be pretty massive. So I did really think that Ruination was really cool. It's something I actually experimented for this World Championship as well, and I felt like there are so many good moves that Smeargle does get. I think Decorate would also have been really sick on this team because you can decorate like a clear aim and Koraidon. That's something I did experiment for the World Championship a lot, actually, during the NIC period, and I think it's super sick. This Koraidon is running low kick, and low kick ended up being kind of a popular trend at this World Championship, actually. Like, there were quite a few Koraidons that had low kick, and yeah, I'm not sure. Like, I know it was a thing on Stadium Ladder. I know that UB Slow got rank 1 with low kick Koraidon Cali Ice, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was I don't think it was the balance team, but yeah, like, low kick, so you're able to, you know, hit the restricted. It's more powerful. It's like basically a 120 base power move against like Miraidon, Koraidon, and a bunch of other Pokemon. But of course, you don't have the drawback of the defense drops, right? The only weakness, which is what we actually saw on stream, top 4 Hirofumi versus Polar Bear, is that Koraidon low kick does no damage to the Chiyus. It does like 50% probably. I don't know what the actual calc is, but it's nowhere near close to KO. So that's like the downside of running low kick. It's great into the restricted, so you have more power in the restricted, but you are weaker against like general Pokemon, such as the Incineroar. Low kick does fail to KO a defensive Incineroar, for example, while Collision Course does usually get the KO. So that's actually pretty massive. Because like low kick is 80 base power, and of course Collision Course 100 base power, and then you have the super effective on top of that. So yeah, it's quite a bit weaker against several Pokemon. But it does work out in some cases, and it did bring Hirofumi to top 4. And then, of course, standard Incineroar, Flare Blitz, because you have the Sun to power it up, the standard Rillaboom, and then running the Landorus Incarnate, which is able to threaten a lot, especially like Zamazenta, which this core probably does not appreciate, because especially like a good Terra on the Zamazenta, like you probably need the Landorus Earth Power. Like Terra Water would be pretty scary, which is why you probably need the combination of Ruination as well as this hard-hitting special attacker. Otherwise, you're just not doing damage to Zamazenta and probably like a few other mons out there. And of course, having a Landorus, of course, is a really strong Pokemon. Ground and ice coverage is fantastic across the board. So yeah, not too surprising there. So that was Hirofumi's team. And then we go to Montana, who is more of a dark horse compared, because I don't think he's played much this season. He did win a regional championship in Reg G when using Calyx Shadow Rider. He was the one who brought Calyx Shadow Rider Clefairy to life in Regulation G, winning the LA regional championship. And now he's basically brought this Calyx Shadow Rider Zamazenta duo with the Encore Calyx Shadow Rider. And then it's kind of a team we pretty much have seen on ladder. It's Calyx Shadow Rider Zamazenta with Solvus Chien-Pao, as I mentioned before, leading up to the World Championship on the previous edition of the Baekfast Club, where Chien-Pao items were definitely being experimented with, because Sash Encore on Shadow Rider, of course, is just really strong, right? You're able to play aggressive with it. With the Astral Barrage, you have that Encore if you stick around, so you can put them in unfavorable moves positions. Like, it is really strong, so you want to have to Sash, especially on Encore Shadow Rider. But Chien-Pao is a Pokemon that loves Sash too, so it makes it difficult. And a lot of players have been experimenting with like a Solvus Chien-Pao, which was able to win a big Japan grassroots tournament before. Actually, did I say the Koraidon Kali Ice one? It got second. It lost to the Solvus Chien-Pao that ended up winning with Calyx Shadow Zamazenta. This is a different build. It does have Booster Energy, Raging Bolt, Rocky Helmet, and Moongus with Sludge Bomb, able to put on pressure, and the Dragonite, which ended up being kind of a world trend. It was popular on Stadium Ladder leading towards the end of July. They ended up having like, I remember this one team that had like Choice Scarf Calyx Shadow Rider and then Zacian, and then over like these slots it'd be like Urshifu plus Instant or Rillaboom. Like that's what I remember being common on Stadium Ladder. But Dragonite just ended up being a pretty common pick with the power of just able to do really well into common Pokemon like Incineroar, Urshifu, Amoonguss, Rillaboom. But of course, that Terra Normal extreme speed is just able to pin stuff like the Shadow Riders, because if you face, like, for example, standard Shadow Rider, that is Sash. I mean, Chien-Pao is already super threatening it, but if you face like a Life Orb set, or usually Terra Dark to resist a Sucker Punch, or Terra Fairy, then you can hit them with the Sword of Ruin Choice Band Extreme Speed. You don't have to worry about Fake Out or Intimidate thanks to Inner Focus, so it can be pretty hard to stop. So that's the idea here. You're able to put on a lot of pressure with Encore Shadow Rider, playing around the Choice Band Extreme Speed, as well as the Chien-Pao with the Sword of Ruin. So yeah, it has a lot of offense. I mean, this core has basically been used before, right? The Zamazenta, Shadow Rider, Raging Bolt, Amoonguss, Chien-Pao. The Dragonite has finally come into play. Sometimes we saw Cornerstone Ogerpon. Sometimes we saw Ting Lu on the Dragonite. But the Dragonite has been unleashed for this tournament. And Montana was able to do really well. And he was able to beat several mirrors, actually. Like, he was really good into the mirror. I think he pretty much beat every Shadow Rider Zamazenta mirror. And he played some of the best ones, including eliminated MDB, and he beat Lewis Markle, I believe, in Swiss. And those are some of the heavy hitting Shadow Rider Zamazenta. So even though he hasn't played too much this format, he absolutely crushed at the World Championship. So congrats to him getting a top 4 at Worlds. Super impressive. Yeah, the Icy Wind Ruination Chien-Pao. I think it's like really cool having the Icy Wind, having that speed control against opposing Sash Shadow Rider, and of course Icy Wind into like an Outrage, Icy Wind into Body Slam. puts on a lot of pressure. And I mean a lot of pressure. So I think the Icy Wind to Solvest Chien Pao is super sick here. Then we have the top 8. The top 8, which is going to be Ko, the previous world champion in the seniors division. I believe this was 2019. He is a phenomenal player. He top cut the 2022 world championship in masters as well. And he brought pretty much the team you would have expected to do well, right? The Women's Cup, Miraidon, Ursaluna, Incineroar, Urshifu Rapid Strike, and Lunala team. There's only one really major change about this team, and that is the fact that it is Life Orb Miraidon over the choice specs. And I like that change a lot because if you think about the original build, only Ursaluna had Protect. It made the team very vulnerable and very read heavy. While the team still is very read heavy, the fact that you can actually protect your restricted and reposition Pokemon is, I think, phenomenal. And I think the Protect Miraidon really made it different because like a lot of game plans would involve like pinning the Miraidon into unfavorable spots after it locked into a move. With this Miraidon, it's a lot harder to. I believe this Miraidon was also timid max speed, and it's just able to threaten quite a bit. The Covert Cloak Whimsicott, a standard Flame Orb Guts Ursaluna, a standard Terra Bug Assaultvest Incineroar, the Electric Seed Lunala with Terra Fairy, and then the Choice Band Terra Ghost Urshifu. It's not anything crazy, but Ko was the one player who went undefeated in day 1 and had a phenomenal showcasing. He ended up finishing in the top 8 after losing to James Evans, and that was a very close set. It could have gone either way. And yeah, like he played phenomenal in the tournament in general. And especially it's impressive because everyone pretty much had like matchup lines into this team, but the Life Orb could change a lot of plans, and Ko was able to utilize those lines and really just have great success with it. So awesome to see there. Then we have Michael Kalish, who 3 top 8s in a row, man. 3 top 8s. Easily the best Gen 9 player by far. Like, there is no man who's had as much consistency, but he ended up using Calyx Shadow Zamazenta last minute. I don't know if this is actually true. I've been told by sources it is true, but absolutely absurd if it is, because man, he's running something similar pretty much to what we saw Montana use with the Calyx Shadow Rider, the Chien Pao, Amoonguss, Zamazenta, Dragonite, and Cornerstone Ogerpon. He did say he built this 6, but I think this team actually did well in the VR tournament right before Worlds. I think it was this exact 6, maybe a few slight changes, but I do believe that this 6 was used before, so you never know. It also was like a pretty common team on like Stadium when you think about it. It has pretty much a similar core concept, running Ice Shard over Icy Wind on the Assault Vest. Chien Pao has the Rocky Helmet Terra Fire Moongus, I guess for the Sun matchup. The Terra Ghost Encore Shadow Rider, standard Zamazenta with Terra Dragon, a Choice Band, of course, Dragonite running Aqua Jet and Low Kick. Low Kick, I guess, to hit Zamazenta and some restricted harder. Aqua Jet to be able to punish stuff like the Sash on Shadow Rider, so you can go for like Aqua Jet Sucker Punch, for example, as well as like be able to hit Pokemon like Chiyu for more damage, I suppose. Play around the Terra Ghost. So yeah, like it does have options there. And then Cornerstone Ogerpon, of course, is able to help out, do a ton of damage. That Sturdy, of course, is fantastic. And yeah, across the board, like it is a very good offensive team. And he did play, I think he did lose both his stream games. He lost to Marco and he lost to Mott in the mirror. So he's still not a fan of the Shadow Rider Zamazenta mirror, but he didn't drop a game, I think, until like he lost to Marco early in the tournament, round 2, into like not losing, I think, until he literally played in top 4. So super incredible, like one of the best players in the world by far. And yeah, like he had a phenomenal run, and the team was just a good call. Like it does put on a lot of pressure. Calyx Shadow Zamazenta, who knew? All right, needed a quick water break. Let's move on to 7th place, Malharada. And if you don't know, he is a previous Japan Nats winner and is running Koraidon Calyx Shadow Rider. I think Calyx Shadow Rider plus Koraidon, of course, was really good. We'll see what I mean, you know, when we look at the rest of the teams. But across the board, a little bit of a different take. You have like the balance mode with Koraidon, Calc Shadow Rider. You have Incineroar and Rillaboom, of course, really strong here. Just running a few different techs. It's running the Terra Dark Calc Shadow Rider, and I believe it's Modest Nature. I think it should be Modest Nature. It's either Modest or Slow Timid, because my Calc Shadow Rider was always outspeeding this, but I was told it's Modest. It's Low Kick Koraidon. Again, a trend that we've been seeing just to be able to hit other restricteds harder. We have Helping Hand Incineroar that's able to do a ton of damage, especially with Shadow Rider. Like Modest Astral Barrage with Life Orb already does a good strong initial hit. You have the standard Rillaboom just running Terra Water instead of like maybe Terra Fire, but for defensive typing against Rain and Cali Ice definitely makes sense here. And then the Clefairy that with Friend Guard, I think it makes sense because if you're running Modest Shadow Rider, you need a bit more support here. So having the idea of the Friend Guard being able to be bulky, to have redirection with Friend Guard, Follow Me, Helping Hand, and Encore. Encore can be nice for trigger matchups because Clefairy is one of the slower Pokemon in the format, so you can really punish some switches or like force them to switch out if they use like a Trick Room, or if they protected like Ursaluna protects Trick Room setup, then you can Encore either slot, which is pretty nice. And yeah, like it can really put them in unfavorable spots. It can also punish some setup, like if they try to set up against Clefairy, Shadow Rider stuff, for example, you can Encore them and lock them into the setup move. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense here. And then Focus Sash, Flutter Mane with 3 attacks, Terra Normal, of course, for opposing Shadow Rider makes sense because otherwise it's still kind of hard to switch into Astral Barrage with the team. It would have performed well. And I did play Mao at the World Championship as well. I played him in round 7, and yeah, like it was very strong. Like I think we had similar ideas concept building wise, just a few different changes like Flutter Mane for his speed control mode, and having another redirector support mod in Clefairy. So it's overall pretty strong. You just do like standard Shadow Rider stuff. You have Calc Shadow, Incineroar, Rillaboom, Clefairy, the double fake out, the redirection, the pivoting, all that. Then you have the more offensive Sun mode with Koraidon able to do a ton of damage. And of course, you have that Flutter Mane Koraidon just instant lead immediately. You could lead double ghost in some situations to pressure like Calc Shadow Rider plus fake out leads. There's a lot you could do here. And the Koraidon, of course, is just super threatening, and you got to watch out for it setting up flame charges. So that was Mao's team. And then Torvi, which obviously I did play on stream, and yeah, was able to perform really well with the Calyx Shadow Rider Zamazenta, more to set up this time with the Life of Terra Dark Calyx Shadow Rider. It was also a Modest Nature as well. I think it was like max speed Modest. Like I feel like it was probably that, I'd assume. Astral Barrage, Psychic, Nasty Plot, Protect. I mean, it's pretty standard. Terra Water on the Zamazenta. Terra Fire, standard Rillaboom with Assault Vest. Booster Energy, Raging Bolt with Terra Fairy. Instead of the Terra Electric, which does help out into like the Miraidon matchup a bit better. The standard Incineroar with Safety Goggles, 2 attacks with Flare of its knockoff, and then the Focus Sash Smeargle. This one running Wide Guard, and sometimes these teams run double Wide Guard. Sometimes they run Decorate. We've seen Decorate Smeargle before, especially after Japan Nats win, but some of the players from EU were running like the Smeargle way before with the Wide Guard support as a double option, because you can lead Smeargle Calyx and you can Wide Guard and you don't have to Terra in front of like an Astral Barrage, for example. So it is pretty powerful there. It's like pretty standard setup balance, and Victor was just able to pilot to huge success here with just able to really barrage through the teams, especially with the Modest Nature on Shadow Rider. And yeah, just really focusing on either very fast priority as well as like the strong initial damage from Shadow Rider to really just blow up teams. And we have Giuseppe in 9th place. I also played them on stream, and it is the Marco NIC team that we saw, and Giuseppe was able to be the highest placement of that team. And yeah, it is pretty much a carbon copy other than like maybe a few changes. You have Terra Ghost on the Incineroar over what was Terra Water at NIC, with the Helping Hand support with the Rocky Helmet. You have the Life of Terra Dark Calyx Shadow Rider running Timid Max Speed. I think it's Timid Max Speed, Max Special Tag. I was on that team. I was talking to Marco about it after the event. And yeah, like it is really strong. You had that initial helping hand Astral Barrage that could just go for really insane damage right off the bat, and we saw that on stream. He did that immediately against me in game 2. We saw the booster energy Terra Electric Raging Bolt for a really strong hit, the Terra Fire Ogerpon Heartflame with Ivy Cudgel and Grassy Glide, of course, for the priority with the Rillaboom Grassy Surge. You have pretty much standard Terra Water Zamazenta and Rillaboom. It's not anything too crazy team wise. It's like a pretty good balanced team, but it does require a lot of great reads. And Giuseppe played amazing at Worlds. Like, I got bodied by him on stream, and yeah, this was one of my harder matchups going into the World Championship, but he played fantastic. He played all the aggressive turns correctly. Like, this team, you do have like safer setups with Calc Shatter, but if you notice, if you watch like the MDB versus Marco set, and if you watch Giuseppe, like, you have to get a lot of calls right. You have the tools to be able to outplay, but you really need to get those hard nail turns right, or you are probably on the back foot realistically. It's not like this team has crazy comeback potential. You just got to get like good turns, either neutral or have the advantage. Otherwise, it can fall apart. But you do have like multiple priority moves to clean up weakened foes. You have, of course, a really strong Calc Shadow Rider. A body press from Zamazenta is going to hurt. And then, of course, Helping Hand Incineroar can always just be a strong factor. So, yeah, that was Giuseppe. And then, who's this guy? Who's this guy? I thought this guy was taking a break. Yeah. It is me. 10th place. Top 10 in the world, baby. This is the team I brought to the World Championship. And if you don't know, I am... what is the video? Actually, so I recorded a video about like explaining my thought process of like building the team. I've been working on this team for several months at this point. I had my first initial draft back in May. Yeah, it was like towards the end of May. So I've been working on this core concept for several months now. And let me just say, I'm very happy with like how the final product turned out. And if you want to see the team in action, make sure you subscribe to the channel. You'll see it on a normal video about this team, and I'll of course showcase it. But yeah, like, I felt that Koraidon Calc Shatter, I mean, I already talked about how I mentioned in Baekfast Club, but I'm gonna mention it again because I was right, man. I think the Ghost with Koraidon was super underrated for this World Championship. And if we look at the Koraidon usage stats, yeah, literally 3 of the top 4 were Koraidon. We have 4 in top 8. Like, there's one Miraidon top 8 for Koraidon, and in top 16, like, there's 2 more added to the list. So I think Koraidon was just such a good restricted, and I'm surprised. Like, everyone was running the Wheezing stuff. Everyone was running the Sun stuff. The Sun stuff is still good, right? Like, Gio was able to win Worlds with it. And, of course, like, James Evans was able to capitalize on the Sun stuff with, like, Raging Bolt and Brubonnet. But I felt like there was more. I think me and Mal kind of proved that this core of Calc Shatter Koraidon could be run with balance. And we were both right. So, had the idea. I've explained more about this team, so I'm not going to go super in depth. Like, just watch the YouTube video of when it releases in general. But yeah, like, the idea of the team was good Shadow Rider, good Koraidon, Ghost Fighting, absolutely crazy. You have the good support mons with the Rillaboom and the Incineroar. I decided to go with Roar Incineroar over the other moves. I was testing Helping Hand for a long time. I also had Protect at one point. I was testing like a bunch of crazy moves. I had Flare Blitz. Yeah, like, I was testing Incineroar movesets for a while. I stuck with Roar because it was good into opposing setup, which I felt like was pretty nice. Good into Trick Room, and there were some times that I would use Side Roar to reposition myself. So very happy with the Incineroar. The Volcarona, like, this was the main concept that I had with the team, was the final version. My final version involved Volcarona sweeping through teams under Sun. Because +2 Volcarona in Sun was one-shotting or two-shotting everything in the format. +2 Fiery Dance was a very good chance to Oko bulky Calc Shadow Riders. And if it was like frail, I think they just went down to it. And yeah, like, Miraidons were taking, like, bulky Miraidons were taking half from it. Koraidons were taking half from it. Like, I was just surprised. Volcarona with Koraidon, I'm surprised we did not see that more, because helps with the Surging Strikes from her Shifu, so patches that up. Random Water Terra to help out against the opposing Incineroar, Kali Ice, and like Kyogre Urshifu stuff. And also have a Terra that isn't weak to flying coverage, because I had grass for like a long time, but I changed it to water because I was thinking like, opposing flare blitz in the sun is still doing a ton of damage if I don't position correctly, even if I get intimidated. Also have that water terror for safety. And then Regieleki. If you have been an avid listener of the Baekfast Club, I've been saying since day one of Regulation I that I think Eleki has potential. And guess what? I was the only one who listened. I'm the only one who brought Regieleki to this World Championship, apparently. According to like, I think I like scrolled through all the teams and I'm like pretty sure like people were telling me I was the only Regieleki, and I'm pretty sure I was. But a mon that is faster than Shadow Rider without having to rely on Photosynthesis booster energy or Quark Drive booster energy, as well as Choice Scarf. Like, having a mon initially out to be Calyx Shadow Rider was just going to be good. If you're wondering, if you haven't seen the full video yet, because it probably comes out a few days after this realistically, I did not run max speed Shadow Rider. I did run Timid, but I didn't run max. So having a way to outspeed with Electroweb, get the speed drop in an Astral Barrage, pretty powerful. Regieleki was also good into the Torn Tailwind teams because leading up to Worlds, Calyx Shadow Rider, Smeargle, Torn was pretty common. Of course, it did win Japan Nats. And yeah, like Eleki was just good into the Torn teams as well. It wasn't like the most used mon of the tournament. Like, the main mons that I brought were Calyx Shadow, Rillaboom, Koraidon, Instant. Some games I went Volcarona modes. Some games I did bring Regieleki, but I'd probably say I brought like the Calyx Shadow, Koraidon, Rillaboom, Instant the most, and then Volcarona was like the second most used mode. And then Eleki, like there are some games I still brought Eleki. It was good enough to what I needed. Torn matchup, good into Kyogre if I faced it. Like, it was really good into the Kyogre teams in general because of the fast volt switch. And Calyx Shadow Rider, like offense stuff. And yeah, like overall, it wasn't like the craziest mon I used, but it was a mon that did help me, and it was like a really vital piece for me winning in for day 2. Like this, I used it in round 6 on stream and brought it as a game 3 adjustment, and it won me that set. So Regieleki was good, even though didn't get to showcase it well on stream. If I played more aggressive Regieleki, it was probably the mon that could have like put in a lot more work. And I'd say like one of my weaknesses of practicing for this World Championship is the Eleki HO mode with Eleki, Calyx Shadow, Koraidon was the mode I had the least experience with using for my entire team. So that was something I could have probably learned more. I could have learned about the risk rewards. Like I would have to gamble generally with that lead combo of like Eleki, Koraidon, or Eleki, Shadow Rider, and I just didn't really like play that well with the Eleki mode, I think, at the tournament in general, or at least like the really hard call out turns, which most of them were on stream, unfortunately. So there is that. If you want to check out again more details about that team, the video will be coming out sometime soon. Then we have Ho-Oh Koraidon. There'll be a video about this coming on the channel. I don't know if it's out yet by the time this Baekfast Club is dropped, but yes, I have recorded a video with this team, and I think we played this player multiple times on Stadium Ladder, and they've been like rank 1 or top 10 at the very least. So yeah, we played this opponent several times, I think, on Stadium Ladder, and this is a really early team. I think this team was created by, or not created by, but at least showcased by UB Slow, like really early in the format, like at least this 6 concept wise. But across the board, like, yeah, Ho-Oh, this was the only Ho-Oh that was able to, or the only Ho-Oh that was brought to the World Championship in general, and it placed top 16. I thought it was an incredible mon for a Worlds call. Obviously, like, there's still stuff like Miraidon you'd be fearing, but I don't think that many players, I mean, there were probably players that opted for Miraidon. I haven't checked the actual usage stats of the restrictions in general, but Ho-Oh was just really good into a lot of the top teams. A lot of teams just struggled to break Ho-Oh because if you notice, a lot of them were the ghost types plus the Koraidon or the Zamazenta. Like, a lot of the top teams, if you look at the restricteds, do not like dealing with Ho-Oh. Like, the only restricteds that really like dealing with Ho-Oh are going to be the Meteor Beam on the Lunala and the Miraidon in top 8. And there weren't many of those, so yeah. And then it was Terra Water Ho-Oh, which I thought was brilliant, because even though you're still weak to Miraidon, like, the fact that you're good into Glacial Lands against opposing water moves in general, against Koraidon, like really strong fire type attacks, like, I thought Water Ho-Oh was brilliant here. The Scale Shot Koraidon, which is able to do a ton of damage. I I think it was max speed Koraidon as well, so you could go for like a very fast scale shot and threaten the dragons, which is really great into opposing Koraidon and Miraidon. You can break sashes on things like POW. Like, it is pretty strong there. Incineroar with the support of Willis, because if you do get a Willis off, it really makes the Raging Bolt and the Ho-Oh really hard to stop. The support Flutter Mane with the Terra Normal again for Calyx Shadow Rider, not opting for Shadow Ball, running Taunt instead. The Life Orb Iron Treads, which gets a speed booster from its Quark Drive and electric terrain, really able to hit hard. Not running Steel Roller, running Iron Head instead for the consistent fairy coverage, but I definitely respected the knockoff getting rid of the item. High horsepower, of course, for the single target ground coverage, and the Assault Vest Raging Bolt, which of course is really powerful with Koraidon, and the way the team breaks through bulky waters otherwise, because it does not have ways to break through bulky waters. But the Tailwind Ho, super sick. It is able to set up speed control for the partners, and yeah, it just doesn't really go down. It has that really strong Sacred Fire boost in the sun, has the Brave Bird, flying coverage is fantastic in the format, and yeah, like Regenerate, if it's able to switch out, it just heals back. Like, it's a really hard Pokemon to stop for some teams, and really cool to see that Ho-Oh was able to perform well, especially with the Clear Amulet, which previously why Ho-Oh wasn't good in previous gens a lot of the time was you get Intimidate cycle, but that Clear Amulet really did allow Ho-Oh to do some big damage, especially under the sun. And of course, 50% chance to burn the Sacred Fires if you do connect the Sacred Fires is incredible, because they can break a sash on Chien-Pao or Flutter Mane, and you can eliminate them immediately. Then we have Naoto Kishida. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I hope I am, but he ran a very support team, and this was actually the team that I had to win for my winning in day 1 to get into day 2, and we both played at 5-0. He had a crazy like setup Calyx Shadow Rider. Like, mostly it was all Shadow Rider for the most part. Like, if you have watched the games that I played against him on stream, he basically didn't bring the Zamazenta, just focus on setting up Shadow Rider, because if you set up Shadow Rider, it is a crazy strong mon, and running the Taunt in Sin, because otherwise like the mode could be like really weak to Spore stuff, and also like Roar stuff. Unfortunately, I did have Roar on mine, so that didn't help out my matchup. I had this Terra Water standard Zamazenta, the Light Clay Terra Ghost Grimmsnarl with Thunder Wave and Spirit Break, a standard Terra Fire self as Rillaboom, Clefairy running Life Dew, Follow Me Helping Hand, and Protect with the Grass Terra type, and the Fairy Terra type Calyx Shadow Rider with the Draining Kiss Nasty Plot set. So, if I'm not mistaken, it was probably Timid Max Speed Shadow Rider, I imagine. It might have just sped Crept Mine, but realistically, I think it is Timid Max Speed. He had a good amount of bulk too. I looked back on the stream and he had a lot of HP investments. So I think it was like not much special attack, but I guess when you have Nasty Plot and Helping Hand support and you can get those KOs, like, yeah, it's a pretty powerful. Running the Terra Fairy Draining Kiss, because you can heal the Calyx Shadow Rider, does a ton of damage, especially to the dark types. Like, I think he O-coded my Incineroar on the stream in game 2, and it's like, yeah, it does a lot of damage when it is boosted, and then you heal back the Calyx Shadow Rider, and having the main sweeper healthy, yeah, that's definitely going to be positive. So he was able to pilot this team extremely well, getting into the top 16. So really props to him, because it's not an easy team to pilot, because if you mess up with the Shadow Rider, it's a really bad spot. For example, in my game 1, I caught the Shadow Rider on the switch and was able to KO it, and then he just instantly forfeited because he brought very passive mons. So he really relies a lot on the Shadow Rider on this team in order to sweep teams. So if it is able to position, it's amazing. If not, yeah, it goes down there very quickly. Then we have Aaron Brock, and Aaron Brock did well with the Calyx Shadow Rider Zamazenta stuff. I think he's pretty much used a very similar team to the most part. I think he got top 4 at was it Portland Regionals? I think it was Portland Regionals, if I'm not mistaken. And he pretty much just used the same thing, but you know, just a few adjustments, right? I think this is the team that also won the Japan tournament, except it doesn't have Chiyu. I don't remember what replaces the Chiyu, because I know it was Chien-Pao. Was it over Raging Bolt or Cornerstone? I think it was one of the two, But yeah, basically pretty much similar to what he was running though before. He had Ting Lu over to Ogerpon, but he basically had the same 5 concept. Now he just has the Cornerstone Ogerpon, changed the Chien Pal a bit, and now is running Booster Energy Terra Electric on the Raging Bolt. I think he had Magnet previously. But across the board is the standard stuff, right? Encore Sash Shadow Rider, standard Terra Dragon Zamazenta, Sludge Bomb, Terra Fairy, Rocky Helmet Amoonguss, the Cornerstone Ogerpon, no grass move, opting for Taunt instead. I guess for like any Trick Room, any other setups like Amoonguss and in general. And then you have the, again, Terra Electric, Boost Energy, Dream Attacks, Raging Bolt. So he was able to pilot this extremely well to get top 16 at the World Championship. Again, it's a team that we pretty much have seen before, running the Ice Shard Assault Vest Chien Power with the Terra Poison. Really powerful with the Zamazenta core and allows you to switch into Shadow Rider decently comfortably because the rest don't take Astral Barrage as well. So great performance by him. And then we have, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce the French player's name right, so I'm just going to not try to pronounce it because I feel like I'm going to butcher it massively. But a really well-known French player, and he's had some really killer results if I'm not mistaken. Like they've had some strong performances. I think they day-2'd NIC if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, like they're running Calyx Shadow and Miraidon. We've talked about this team during the World's Preview Baekfast Club. It was one of the teams that were really popping up. A few different changes though, but it does have the Scarf Miraidon with the Calyx Shadow Rider Nasty Plot. It's a lot about supporting the Calyx Shadow Rider, the Choice Scarf Miraidon that's able to threaten opposing Calyx Shadow Rider by outspeeding it. You have the support with the Clefairy, the Rillaboom, and the Incineroar, pretty much standard. Roar Incineroar to get rid of any support mons or Trick Room. You have the Follow Me, Helping Hand, and Life do Clefairy to support the Calyx Shadow Rider. Standard Terra Water Assault Vest Rillaboom. And then the Electric Seed Volcarona with the Terra Fire option with Flamethrower for the extra power and the KOs. So able to really just, again, heavy setup team involving Calyx Shadow and Volcarona. Covert Cloak on Calyx Shadow is a very interesting item here. We don't really see Covert Cloak at all. We saw it in Reg G, but not in Reg I, because normally we see like Life Orb or others. But it does prevent the secondary effects. So if you do Terra, you don't have to worry about like the fake out flinches, but also the Icy Wind and the Electro Web speed drops, which could be massive here. But very strong performance by him because not an easy team to pilot because again, setting up with the setup mons a bit harder when they're super defensive. So very strong performance. Then we have Nick Navarre getting 15th place. He was on stream, I think twice if I'm not mistaken. I think he played Trick Room for the winning in, and then he played against Ko, I think, in top 16. And running, I think he ran this team with Gavin Michaels, who was the Portland Regional Championship winner. And yeah, he has the Kali Ice Kyogre build, triple water move Kyogre. You don't need Ice Beam on this team. You don't really need Thunder either because you're running double grass here, so it makes a lot of sense. And the Calyx Ice Rider leftovers with Leech Seed and Trick Room and Glacial Lands with Terra Fairy makes a ton of sense. Double grass with Assault Vest, Terra Water Rillaboom. It looked like Terra Water Rillaboom was really common at the event in general, but it does help out against like taking really strong hits from fire and ice coverage especially, and then also like opposing water moves. The Terra Water Amoonguss as well with the Rocky Helmet with Pollen Puff, and then you also have Focus Sash Flutter Mane. We saw how well Gavin was able to capitalize with Flutter Mane Kyogre lead, and it was a pretty fast Kyogre if I'm not mistaken. Like the Flutter Mane would go for Icy Wind, and then Kyogre would outspeed like quite a bit of the format because it wasn't like a really bulky Kyogre, which you would expect on Kali Ice Trick Room, I feel like. But yeah, it was actually like a pretty decently fast Kyogre. And then of course Short Scarf for Urshifu with Rain, Starting Strikes, Terra Ghost to play around the fake out. Like it is a pretty threatening mon under the rain. So the only Kyogre team that was able to actually do well at the World Championship. And yeah, it was able to do quite a bit with the powerful water moves that Kyogre has access to. And of course, Kali Ice Glacial Lands, that is fearful. And then you have like, again, double grass support, Flutter Mane, Urshifu are good mons. That's all you really need. And then final team for top 16, Masayoshi Kuro, who was the winner of the Melbourne Regional Championship in Regai. He won with Weezing and ended up changing the team to be very similar to the team that Carson Confer was using at NIC, as well as winning the Smogon VGC tournament. It has pretty similar concepts. but different sets. It's not like a stallish team, it's more of an offense team. You do have Electric Seed Sneasler with low kick, which is interesting. So running the low kick over close combat, I guess it does have bulk, I'd imagine, on the Sneasler, so you don't drop your defenses. And the Dire Claw Throat Shot with the Terra Dart to pressure Calyx Shadow Eyes, Electric Seed to take advantage of Miraidon electric terrain, so you get the double speed with Unburden. You have the Kali Ice, which is offensive with Clear Amulet, Terra Water, and Glacial Lance High Horsepower as the attacks. Then you have the Life Orb Miraidon with Terra Electric that's able to break through teams. Assault Vest, Terra Bug, Incineroar, which is pretty standard. Focus Sash, Urshifu, which would normally have been a Grimmsnarl on this team, but taking a more offensive nature here with Focus Sash and the Stellar Terra, and then finally the Ditto, which can be very disruptive, especially if we copy a good restricted Pokemon to Trace, which can help out a lot. Like a Calyx Shadow Rider, if it's threatening, you could outspeed a Choice Scarf Ditto in the back and really put on the pressure. With the Terra Ghost to help out against opposing Fake Out, and I guess like Zamazenta Body Press, it could be a factor as well. So that was the top 16 teams. Then, I mean, there are like a few more players that were able to make it in the top cut, right? We have Maddie Morgan, who really has crushed it. I think he's like 7 out of 10 top cuts, if I'm not mistaken. Like all day twos this season. It's absolutely incredible. He had incredible consistency throughout. And it's pretty much running like a similar team he's been running for the most part. Like he ran this, I think, I don't remember this was NIC. I don't think he went to NIC, if I'm not mistaken. I think he used that European regionals and got top cut with it. Substitute Terra Dark Shadow Rider, the Fake Tears Covert Cloak Whimsicott with Terra Dark, Booster Energy, Electric, 3 attacks, Raging Bolt, Standard Focus Sash, Taunt, Chien Pao with Ice Spinner, a Choice Band, Terra Ghost Urshifu, and the Urshifu Rapid Strike, and then Standard Terra Dragon Zamazenta. This is definitely more of a offensive Tailwind team, really designed to put on a lot of pressure, utilizing the Shadow Rider, and then fast attacks with the Tailwind, and of course the Fake Tears combo. So that was Maddie's team, and he was able to pilot to have a lot of offensive pressure with the Tailwind mode, which we didn't see too many players bring, and yeah, was just able to get a lot of calls right, utilizing his turns of Tailwind. So that was Maddie's team. Then we have Carlos, who was like the best Koraidon player back in Reg G 2020. I think the 2024 World Championship. I think he got like 25th, if I'm not mistaken, or like something there. He barely missed top cut, but he was like one of the highest X3s, if I'm not mistaken. So he is also running the same team as Maddie, but there's like there's 2 crucial changes. One is Ogerpon Heartflame over the Urshifu, which I think Ogerpon Heartflame was on the original version. I think Urshifu was a adjustment that was brought recently, and it's Helping Hand, which is pretty cool because Helping Hand, Life from Calyx Shadow, of course, Helping Hand Body Press, Helping Hand Thunderclap or Sucker Punch does a ton of damage. And then the only other change really is the Pollen Puff on the Calyx Shadow over Substitute to be able to hit the opposing Terra Dark Calyx Shadow Riders because it does a ton of damage. You could also self Pollen Puff. It's less likely, but also an option there. But you're able to hit the Dark types and the Terra Darks, which is really important for the Shadow Riders. So instead of going Substitute, just going with a more offensive version. Then we have Cedric, who's able to top cut, who has been a former, I think, multi-regional champion. I think he's won 3 in the previous years. Also running the same team as Nick Navarre and Gavin Michaels. This is the exact same 6 with the Kali Ice, Kyogre, Fluttermane, Moongus, Urshifu, and Rillaboom. So I think it's the exact same pace. So he was able to do well here. And then finally, Chuppa Cross, who has gotten his first World Championship top cut. So I'm very happy for him because I feel like he's been a player who's definitely has the ability to top cut, and he's been like really close several times, but he's finally able to get that top cut and is running the same team. I think he worked with Montana, who got second place. Also, if I'm mispronouncing the name wrong, I'm sorry, but I'm just very bad at pronouncing names, as we can tell. So same stuff with the Focus Sash Encore Calyx Shadow Rider, the Terra Normal Choice Band Extreme Speed Dragonite, the Dragon Terra Zamazenta, Water Terra on the Rocky Helmet Amoonguss, Electric Booster Energy Raging Bolt, and the Assault Vest Chien Pao with Icy Wind. So that were all the top cut teams. There were 20 players who did top cut this World Championship, and I do want to say, I was pointed this out before, but there was a bracket that was posted on Twitter And you all know I did top cut, and there was one name that they got wrong, and I think they used the previous bracket from last year for some reason. So they had me replaced as the Dundozo player who ended up getting top 8 at the World Championship in 2024. I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny that they messed up the bracket because it was the only name that they got wrong too, which is funny. Yeah. But they actually do have a correct version here this time towards the later parts, but it was just funny seeing that. Then I mean, like the rest of the teams, like these are the day 2 teams. We have Justin Tang, who I thought this was funny because me and Tang were seeing each other between rounds in day 1, and we were like, yeah, we're both gonna make day 2. Like, I'm rooting for you. And like, I had no idea what Justin was running at the time. But if I had known he was running Jump Bluff, I would have said, I am praying for your downfall, my friend. I actually told her this day 2, and we had a good laugh about it. But yeah, he ran Sun. Obviously, I'm not the biggest fan of Sun in general, or at least like Groudon, Jump Bluff, Sleep Powder stuff. Like my Sun is bad. My Sun is fair, man. The Sun I have, I'm using balance. Nothing too crazy, nothing too oppressive. He was telling me how he was sleep powdering the Ho-Oh player and praying for the sleep turns, but yeah, no. But otherwise, like, I know like there were a few players who brought this. I think Paul Chua also brought it. I don't think he was able to advance in the day 2. I think he got eliminated in the 7th round, if I'm not mistaken, using Groudon Jump Bluff. And then yeah, it is tough out here, but really cool with Pollen Puff for healing the Solvis Groudon. With the Terra Dark Covert Cloak Jump Bluff, it's evil with Course Sleep Powder Tailwind, but it is what it is. Focus Sash, standard 3 attacks Flutter Mane with Terra Normal, Terra Ghost, Choice Scarf Chiyu, Life Orb Raging Bolt, which is super strong. And then the Cali Ice is Citrus Berry, Terra Water, Lead Seed. I still don't get the set at all. Like, I really don't get why there's Citrus Berry with it, but you know what? Sometimes it is, and yeah. And no Protect on the Cali Ice, so... it's kind of similar to the concept that we saw Hirofumi and Joji bring to I think it was Joji Suika, who brought top 16 to Melbourne Regionals, and then Hirofumi brought it to Japan Nats. He didn't do well. I don't think he did well with the team. He might have got top 32. I might be mistaken, but then again, it's out of 50 players, so it's not like crazy. But yeah, like, it's the same concept as this. You have this, and then you have like a more offensive Sun build on it. Then we have Z, Z is one of my homies. They brought an interesting take on Miraidon Cali Ice. And wait, were they the highest place in Cali Ice? Miraidon? No, Kuro was, but yeah, one of the highest placing ones. Opting pretty much like standard Electric Seed for Rigorath with the Assault Vest Incineroar, which is also pretty standard. Focus Sash, Terra Water, Shifu. Amoonguss having Citrus Berry with the Water Terra type. Clear Amulet leads to Cali Ice, which was interesting with Fairy Terra. And then Choice Scarf, Miraidon with Electric Terra. This team was scarier than I thought, because I played Z for the elimination, for the winning in for a top cut. And Miraidon for Rigorath, like, I'm used to playing it, but the Choice Scarf made it really awkward for speed. It made it really awkward for speed. This mom was a demon next to this. But Z was playing really well. And yeah, like, I played them, and I could attest to how well they were playing in general. They had a really tough schedule for Worlds. Lost to me, lost to Ko, and I think someone else in top 8, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, like, had a really crazy Worlds run. Can't wait to see what they do next year, because Z's been deserving, I think, of like a really good Worlds run, and finally has gotten to day 2. Not a top cut yet, but close. Then we have Sanvi, who is also running the same team as Cheppa and Montana. I think they work together. Christopher Hahn running the same team as Mirai, like Carlos. Yeah, his in-game name, or his tag is Mirai, but Carlos is the same team as Carlos. With the Pollen Puff, Terra Dark, Calyx Shadow, HO stuff. We have Jude Lee, who was pretty much the only really strong Terapagos player. I mean, he's pretty much have ran this for pretty much, what is it, like, he's just run this a lot. Like, I can't say. He got top 8 in the Master Ball League qualifier, if I'm not mistaken, which was like the invite for Worlds for that region. And then, I mean, he's been pretty much running this knockoff Cornerstone Ogre Pollen with Follow Me, Standard Terra Water, Assault Vest Rillaboom, the Pollen Puff Willows Calyx Shatter with Sash, the Terra Dark Fluttering with Booster Energy with Icy Wind, Thunder Wave, and Taunt as a supportive option. Will-O-Wisp support Rocky Helmet, Incineroar, and then the Calm Mind, Earth Power, Terra Star Storm, Terrapagos with leftovers. Like, super impressive. And his elimination match was against James Evans, who eliminated him in the final round for the top cuts. So really impressive that running Terrapagos, because Terrapagos otherwise was just non-existent. Like, you do not see a single Terrapagos on your screen, as you can see here. But across the board, I think I'll speed it up quite a bit. I mean, Koraidon, Calyx Shadow, kind of a similar take to Mao, except opting for the Tinglu instead of a Rillaboom, which is interesting. It helps out, I guess, with Miraidon still as well. Shoma bring, I think, an adjustment version to the team he got second place with at that big Japanese grassroots tournament a month ago. Lewis running his pretty much good bread and butter, the Life Orb, Calyx Shadow, Zamazenta balance team. Brian Collins running a offensive version of the Calyx Shadow Rider plus the Zamazenta with Choice Specs Calyx Shadow Rider, the Faint Mousehold with Focus Sash, definitely more offensive with the Terra Fire Tailwind, Breaking Swipe, Roaring Moon, Life Orb on the Blood Moon Ursula is definitely more of a offensive version for sure. And then the Terra Dark Zamazenta, yeah, like it's definitely a more offensive take on Calyx Shadow Rider and one of the best specs performances out there. And we have like Calyx Shadow, Zamazenta balance with the Ogerpon Heartflame, Rillaboom, Raging Bolt, and Smeargle in 30th. We have Zamazenta Kyogre being able to get 31st, and then Joji also running the same team as Hirofumi with the Koraidon, Calyx Ice Rider, Rillaboom, Incineroar, Landorus Incarnate, and Smeargle. Then we have Patrick Connors, the best placing Iron Bundle determined using Calyx Ice Rider, Miraidon, getting 33rd. Kean Campbell, a name we've mentioned before here, with the Zacian Kyogre, the best placing Kyogre Zacian, with his Xian Pao, Urshifu, Amoonguss, and Roaring Moon. We've talked about the team before. The Hard Trick Room, 35th place. I believe this was the player who also eliminated Wolf in round 9 with, like, you know, it's a classic Hard Trick Room from, I think, really early in the format. Choice Specs Torkoal with Terra Fire, Clear Amulet, High Horsepower, Cali Ice, Power Herb, Terra Grass, 3 attacks. Lunala, Choice Band, Terra Grass, Urshifu, Terra Grass, Smeargle with Decorate, and the Psychic Surge, Safety Goggles, Female Entity with Alluring Voice as its attack move. It's pretty impressive because, like, our Trick Room was not seen otherwise, so it's really cool to see just the players stick to what they know best, and they were able to perform well. Then we have Max, who was able to run kind of like the team that Ashley and Bruno brought to the World Championship, or not World Championship, the North American International Championship, and make day 2 with a few adjustments. They were Meteor Beam on the Terrapagos instead of the Choice Specs, and I think they were Life Orb, Calyx Shadow Rider, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, they were. Otherwise, standard Tornadus with Covert Cloak, Tailwind, Taunt. You have the Decorate, Smeargle that's still able to put on pressure with Terrapagos, which is 3 attacks. Assault Vest, Terra Water, Iron Hands, pretty standard, and the Choice Scarf Chi. So that was able to perform well. Then we have Iron Moth by Grant Lard in 37th place, and yeah, like, it has Pounce, which is just such a funny move. It's a bug move that lowers the speed of the opponent, so it has some speed control. Toxic Spikes for the stall, has the Leech Seed leftovers, Terra Fairy, Cali Ice, has Choice Specs Miraidon, able to do a ton of damage, which is interesting because it has Terra Electric and it has Dazzling Gleam, so that's kind of like the one unique thing about this Miraidon. Dazzling Gleam with Terra Electric is definitely not one we commonly see. Taunt, Sash, Urshifu over close combat, Terra Water, Assault Vest, Iron Hands, and then the standard Grimmsnarl with Light Clay. Then we have Jan Sim, who was pretty much able to bring the team that we've seen well rise, the standard Lunala Miraidon team. It's pretty much the exact same carbon copy. Terra Water, Covert Cloak, Whimsicott with Light Screen, the Choice Band, Terra Ghost, Urshifu, standard Ursaluna, the Terra Bug, Assault Vest, Incineroar, just running the Choice Specs Terra Fairy Miraidon. And this was the highest placement of the original build that was able to get 38th place. Then 39th, we have pretty much a very similar copy to the team that Kinugawa used to win the Japan National Championship in 40th place. We have Elizabeth, who is running the Cali Ice Groudon with the Ice Skull Plate Imprison Cali Ice, which has Trick Room and Glacial Lands. I guess it's mainly for the Glacial Lands for the most part, or reversing Trick Room, but definitely an interesting one there. Focus Sash decorates Smeargle. The Choice Scarf Chiyu with Specs Flutter Mane instead of Focus Sash, because the Smeargle has Focus Sash. You go with an offensive Flutter Mane, and yeah, it is able to do a ton of damage in the sun. The Terra Electric Life Orb Raging Bolt with 3 attacks, and the Clear Amulet Groudon with the 3 attacks, Precipice Blades, High Horsepower, and Heat Crash. So very powerful offensive Sun team. And then Victor was able to run Cali Ice Miraidon, the team that we've seen basically Michael the best use at NIC, and has done well at other events. Wolfbring, his team was able to go 7-3 with very similar stuff. It has the Life Orb Koraidon, the Safety Goggles, Terra Ghost, Incineroar, Amoonguss with Rocky Helmets, the standard Ursaluna once again, Focus Sash Flutter Mane with 3 attacks, Fairy Terra instead, and Covert Cloak Lunala, which I will still not get Covert Cloak. I know you can avoid the Snarl special attack drops and the fake out flinches, but it does seem weaker. But if you're not running Meteorine Power, and obviously you don't have a Electric Seed, it is kind of hard to find an item for Lunala in cases. So that was Wolf's team, and yeah, Nils was able to do well with the Jumpluff, a Jumpluff Koraidon Lunala. We have Alex Underhill, who brought like Cali Ice plus the Miraidon in 44th. Luca, our previous world champion, in 45th place with the same Lunala Miraidon team. They've been running the entire format. William Brown using Cali Ice plus the Miraidon with Ogerpon Wellspring and the Annihilate alongside Volcarona and Incineroar. And then yeah, we see some Cali Ice Miraidons. We see Shadow Riders, Almazentas. For the most part, like a lot of these teams are not like too surprising, but yeah, I think that's where I'll conclude. Where we have that's like every day 2, and then we just have a bunch of 5-3 players. Like there were a lot, and I mean a lot of upsets at this World Championship. Like so many players did not qualify for day 2, and you might have noticed by just scrolling the names as following along, but I'll read them out. I'll read some aloud for an example here. A lot of the NIC players who got top 8 did not qualify for the day 2 Japan ads. That includes Yuma Kinagawa, who is a favorite, the Japan winner. There was Federico Campiosi, who I think was eliminated really early in the tournament, if I'm not mistaken. Then we had Marco Silva, who is the finalist, who I think finished 3-3. We have obviously the other players as well. Like they just did not make out day 2, for example. They did not make out of day 2 out of this tournament. Like this tournament was rough. There are a lot of top names that just did not finish. Francesco Piopero, still running the Tropicals team with a few different changes, wasn't able to make it into the day 2, unfortunately. Paul Ruiz, a former world champion who was able to win against Eric Rios on stream. Eric Rios also did not make day 2. Alex Gomez, I think, had a really rough world championship this year after having like pretty good consistent world championships. So like, yeah, this tournament is just rough. Like every single world championship it's anything could happen. Anything can happen. Like there are a lot of top names here that, as you can tell by scrolling, if you're able to read the name, Gabriel Gotti, Nicholas Kahn, like there's just so many names that you could just say, oh man, they have day 2 potential. Kylan, who got top 16 last year, I hope that's how you pronounce his name. I always feel like I butcher his name, but definitely one. Juan Salerno, Joseph Ugarte. Like these are players you would probably who have had really good seasons, but unfortunately this world championship was not kind to them. And yeah, like sometimes those were, it just happens. Paul Chua again, yeah, 4-3, which is unfortunate. Ashton Cox, who is a multiple international champion winner. There's just so many names that it's like, wow, you recognize, and it's like, wow, I thought they were thought they were gonna make day 2, but it just doesn't. And I think kind of one of the notes here is just Worlds is always just gonna be a different monster, and it kind of happens in the game of Pokemon, because don't forget, in Pokemon you have to have a good team, good prep. Ideally, some cases you can get away with it, but like you need some experience with your team generally, or it has to really click to you. You need some luck with your matchups. You need luck with against players. In the actual game, like there's so much involved with Pokemon because it's a very volatile game, and there's so many ways. Like if we simulated this World Championship again and redid it with like different brackets and stuff, it could have been completely different. Like it could have been absolutely completely different. You only get one shot at this World Championship, and when you have a game that is volatile as Pokemon, with already how volatile it is in the game with RNG and then outside the game as well, like there's just so much. Also, I want to shout out to the Totodile player Mark Cotter, who went 4-4 with a Totodile. Like he just went 4-4 with a Totodile. He took 4 wins with a Totodile, which is absolutely insane. I don't know if it was actually brought to the game, but that's just a flex. It's like I went break even at the World Championship with Totodile. Yeah, like Worlds is always gonna be different animal. It could anything could happen at this World Championship, and at the end of the day, I still think the players who didn't make day 2 are still probably gonna have great seasons ahead. I know this as someone who literally did not win a single set last year at the World Championship. My 2024 and 2025 were completely different. Last year, I didn't win a single set. I went 1-3, and the one win was a bye because of like how the date, the invite structure was, since I had an automatic round 1 bye because of getting top 8 in North America. But yeah, like Worlds can be a very brutal tournament, so it's unfortunate because it is the biggest tournament of the year, but sometimes you just don't have that. Sometimes you're just not playing hot. Sometimes your team wasn't great. Sometimes you do get unlucky in general. Like, but in order to do well in a Pokemon tournament, you have to have some luck, or at least not get unlucky in the first place. And in order to not get unlucky, you have to be decently lucky in order to happen. And yeah, you just need all those factors to align. And yeah, like this is one World Championship. There'll be plenty more. These players definitely have showcased how well that they can perform, and they'll probably have good results next year, I'm hoping. So yeah, another World Championship for the books. And I think that's going to conclude it because I've been talking for probably an hour and a half. I think that's a good time to wrap up the Baekfast Club. And yeah, that is going to be the final Baekfast Club. So let me know in the comments what you thought about the series. Let me know if you would like to see another season with a like down below, because it really does help out. Because right now, I'm still not sure. Like, you might be thinking, oh, I'm building it up. I really don't know. This could be the final episode of the Baekfast Club. It really just depends. We've had some really, like, there's definitely been some results for the Baekfast Club, and it's like, okay, like I think we were like one of the most viewed VGC podcasts in general. I think we're second, actually. I think the ones hosted by like Sekiam and Poke Alex are bigger because they have a bigger audience in Spain. But I think in terms of English speaking, I think we were the #1 VGC podcast, which was really cool. So I want to thank everyone who's been supporting the series. I just don't know if it's I don't know if it's good enough, because podcast views aren't exactly like the greatest in general. We've had some really like episodes that blew me out of expectations on what I thought it could accomplish, and then we had some that were pretty disappointing. So again, I'm on the fence about will we be making a comeback in the next season. So yeah, but I think I pretty much have given you a great wrap up for 2025. Things to look forward to in 2026. Should be pretty exciting with champions coming out, the Reg H that's going to be coming back. And yeah, let me know all your thoughts about this World Championship down below, because yeah, it was definitely an exciting one. I could probably talk a lot about like my own experience, but honestly, that would probably take more than it would probably be at least more than an hour. And I feel like we've already been going pretty long here. I'd assume that this episode by this point is like an hour 30. And I think that's good enough. I think that's good enough for the final episode. We really just focused down. We went through all of the top cut teams in detail, pretty much. We talked about some of the day 2 teams, and yeah, like overall the meta, it was really interesting. We saw Koraidon and Ghost types do really well, and just Koraidon in general. Surprising lack of Kali Ice Miraidon. That was like the #1 core going into this World Championship. I feel like everyone had it on its target. I thought like I might face a few, but I didn't really think I was going to fight that many. And I was right. I only played 2, because I still think what I said before about Kali Ice Miraidon still stands. Like I've talked about like how I feel like it's a weird core in general, just because of the way, like, again, disjointed speeds. And maybe I was right all along. Like, maybe it wasn't right towards the middle, but in the end, I think I was kind of right on some stuff. I was right about Koraidon. I was right about Koraidon Shadow Rider and Koraidon Lunala being able to do well. I was shocked by how little Miraidons we saw, though, throughout the tournament. Shadow Rider Zamazenta, great combo. Like, who would have thought? Who would have thought? Ho-Oh. I don't know if I gave this a shout out because I don't remember if I did end up talking about the restricteds that had potential to do well that we haven't seen, but it had to break out. But yeah, surprisingly, the one Ho-Oh did come out. And if there was any weird restricted, Ho-Oh is not like the surprise factor to me for one of the weirder restricteds that we saw out there. But across the board, I think like the meta, pretty much what I expected. Obviously, like placement wise, I didn't think North America was going to go crazy. I thought Japan and EU were going to go crazy, but I mean, like, we've had some, they had good representation, right? Like Japan 3 in the top 8, 1 in top 4. It's the reverse of me in 2019 where it was 3 Japan, 1 US. It's literally like the same story because Hirofumi got 3rd. And then like EU, there was 2 in the top 8 with Michael and Torviv, and then 4 in top 16. But yeah, I was very shocked to see North America perform this well, because I think it's been a general meme of North America, you know, not performing that great. Like, I thought Gio could have had an absolute banger Worlds run, and I'm amazed he did, and definitely deserved, because he has been piloting that team for ages. Montana came out of left field. He hasn't really played too much, if I'm not mistaken. Absolutely crushed it. So awesome to see there. And then James Evans having like a dream run here, and yeah, like awesome to see there. And yeah, like Japan was able to do well. EU, I think the big names from the most part did kind of bomb out towards day one, but there was still a good representation of like how strong EU was in the top cut in general. And yeah, like it was just really a really unique world, to say the least. And yeah, I think that covers everything. I think we talked about meta wise. We talked about predictions. I think there were some mons again that were underrated that were able to perform well. Dragonite, Regieleki, Smeargle, like, were all really good. And I think the restricted pairs I've talked about were on point, other than Kali Ice Miraidon, which again, I still thought the combo wasn't the greatest, but like I thought it would have had better results. Like the fact that it didn't make a single top 8 appearance at all, like it had 1 top 16 appearance with Kali Ice Miraidon. Like, I thought that was a shocker. Like very few Miraidons in general. Also, like very few Lunala as well. Like Lunala didn't perform that well at this World Championship. Literally 1 in top cut, I think. Or 2, I guess. But I guess Lunala did win in the end, so it's a good convert. But like, yeah, like the fact that there was only 2 Lunala in top cut, which is kind of crazy, I think, for like how good Lunala has been in general. So yeah, really unique stats. I always love talking about these, and the Baekfast Club does allow me to do that. Let me know your thoughts about like everything. I've already mentioned this. Would you like I guess a season 2 of the Baekfast Club, or is that it? Let me know in the comments, because this might be your final time to get your words in before the final decision. And again, leave a like, because again, I actually really don't know if I'm continuing this podcast or not. Like, you might think, oh, he's building it up, he's gonna have his second season, but I mean, at the end of the day, the podcast it was successful in the terms of like listen to VGC podcast, but in general videos, my general videos do better, and sometimes require the same, if not potentially a bit less work at times. So might not be worth it. It might just be stick to battle videos. But let me know what you think. And yeah, good luck to everyone who just decides to compete in 2026. And we'll see what happens at the 2026 World Championship. Maybe I'll be qualified. Maybe I go as a spectator. Maybe I just don't go at all. But expect a lot of VGC videos coming up in the future about champions and all that good stuff. That will be something that will be on this channel. So should be a lot to look forward to.